There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Oh, we've been ready. We've been waiting on you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
I'm ready
sure,
for hours.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sitting here freezing my damn ass off waiting for y'all to start.
We can watch
Yeah.
Red Hell,
Yeah.
Dark
What
Vengeance.
the hell is that?
I don't know. It's like a Russian superhero movie, I think.
Nice. Looks like a Russian superhero.
Not really sure. I haven't watched it. I am intrigued though.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone episode podcast recording. I am the Human Electrode, and I'm here with my cohorts. Talk the start of the fourth season. What is that?
I don't know.
Dude, is that how I hear
Clicking.
things?
He uses that to spark the girlies.
Yeah,
For a
sure.
Trivia game. I just,
Is that how I
just saw
murder?
it there. I was like, "Ooh, look at that!" Actually, it's for Seen It.
Oh, nice.
I got 4 of them.
I would hope you have 4 of them.
You just
only have one of them,
changed
we're
someone's Seen It game right now.
Right.
Yeah, somebody who's playing Seen It on the Xbox 360. I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those people, and they're watching our show at the same time.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
What else would they be doing? I mean, it is a classic combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys,
Wow.
we've
Yo.
done it. We made
What?
it into the
What do we
fourth
do?
season.
Oh my god.
The fourth season of the fifth dimension. This is Jacob's his thing. He's ready. He's wearing the shirt I got him for Christmas. I appreciate that.
Woohoo!
Yes, sir. I like it.
I am not wearing the shirt you got me for Christmas.
No, I mean you're in the 2D plane. You got to become 3D before that to happen. So
I know.
yeah, right.
I'll never be a real boy.
I mean, I hope
real
you're not. If Trib becomes a real boy, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We'll know how long. We'll have to find another woman to be on the podcast because we can't be all sausage factory in this podcast. You know.
It is quite
that
a
right?
sausage factory, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It gets tiring after a while, man. It gets
Yeah,
tiring.
like the first episode of the fourth
Are you
season
assuming
gets
my
tiring
gender?
after a while. What's that?
Oh, shush.
Yeah. Jacob's really
behave
he,
yourself.
they, she, shim, shore,
Ziza.
Shang-Chi.
Zizo.
Sure.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Kung
Versus
Fu?
he, him.
When your pronouns sound like a fucking Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah,
Moving on.
Shang-Chi.
Dude, I think that'd be even better.
Yeah, right. So, guys, how are you doing? Did you survive the first episode? Are you here though?
You know what?
Are
I
you-
preferred this episode to not having heat in my house.
Well, I mean, did this episode warm you up? Did it make you feel good in your tinglies,
Not really.
your biddies, your tingly
In my-
bitties?
In
Your
my
bitty-
tingly
what?
bitties.
Your tingly
I mean, are we? What tingly bitties are we talking about here, Nick? Because I may need
I don't
to take
know. I
action
mean,
if
Can we
you have
clarify what
corn. You
tingly
turned into a
bitties are?
corn. You turned into a piece of corn.
that was a while ago. I had reasons for turning into corn.
So so they're your tingly bitties. They're yellow and they pop.
okay,
Yeah,
you have no concept of women. You know that?
I have no concept of reality. That's my life. My reality is like it's like that. It's like the thing from was it 40-year-old virgin where they go, "Have you ever touched a woman's boob before?" It's like, "Yeah, it's made of sand." He's like, "Made of sand?" He's like, "You're a virgin." So yeah, have you ever seen
there
that?
you go.
You guys never seen that movie?
Yeah.
Of course, I've seen 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Been a
Oh,
long
It's like the
time.
funniest
Kelly
joke. It's like
Clarkson!
one of the right.
When you got the chest waxing.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, what
I
were
was
we
just
talking
thinking about
I don't know.
the fluorescent lights, and they were having the battle and beating the shit out of each other.
For lessons. Oh, shit. So, anyways,
Mercury.
this is what happens to you in the fourth season of the Twilight Zone. You go loopy and crazy, and
We become 40-year-old virgins.
yeah, you lose your furnace. And Jacob,
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to host a podcast. I'm not doing a very good job of it anymore.
You're fine.
So, guys, how you doing? How's life? outside of the Twilight Zone?
Cold.
Mhm.
It's
Everything
a tiddly
good?
bit nipply in my house.
Until
It's a brisk 54 degrees right now. At
it's a
10:30
brisk
at night.
45. You mean I'm colder than you, Jacob? That's so crazy.
But it hasn't been that. Before that, it got down to like, real cold, like 30 one night.
Oh my god.
Not terrible. We had a cold snap, is what they called it.
Yeah. It's 33 here.
It's 45
2
here.
days ago it was negative 11.
Oh, suck it up, Buttercup.
Okay, fine. You come up and enjoy at negative 11 temperatures.
No, I'm good. I'll let you have
Okay.
it. Okay, so
Screw that
so I found a Collider article, the 10 best, as Jacob likes to put it, hard sci-fi episodes of the Twilight Zone. And
Dadumch.
yeah, the first episode is Where's Everybody? The Trade-ins, The Shelter, From Agnes with Love, The Midnight Sun, The Brains Center at Whipple's, Uncle Simon, Time Enough at Last. What does this mean? I think they're just naming episodes. I don't get this. What does it mean hard? The best hard
Hard
sci-fi.
sci-fi.
Well,
So
Yeah,
it's a straightforward sci-fi, like it's clearly a sci-fi episode.
Hard fi.
There's also
I don't
boobs that
think
get
Time Enough at
close,
Last
like-
is a hard sci-fi episode though. It's about a nuclear bomb that goes off and the guy
Well,
survives.
that's kind of. I mean, for the time, that was sci-fi.
I guess this episode would be kind of hard sci-fi actually, but they don't put it in there, Trev,
Like
because nobody
hard
talks about the fourth
sci-fi?
season.
I would think
I don't
hard
know.
sci-fi would be more like the ones where they go to like
Is it hard sci-fi
other
like?
planets and land on asteroids
Wouldn't
with
well, maybe
atmospheres.
that would be a different. By that estimation of that time, maybe it was a different thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
Wouldn't
that was
hard
a
sci-fi be
fantasy
like-
thing.
I mean, they had
Be
like,
like
Flash Gordon and stuff.
2001. Is it more realistic sci-fi? Is that more realistic? Realistic? I can't talk. Realism.
Well, maybe the way that they set it up, maybe hard sci-fi in that respect would be stuff that's more realistic, and soft sci-fi would be more like
How did we
out
get into
there
this subject?
concepts.
What does this have to do? What?
No, I found
Where
an
we going
article,
here?
the 10
Oh, okay.
hardest sci-fi Twilight Zone episodes. And I was reading them off because
This is
this is
one
a
of them?
Twilight Zone podcast, Jacob. Come on now.
Oh,
Come on.
shit.
Get together, Jacob.
Wrong
Get
night.
together.
Sorry. What? Like, was this on
Get
that
Oh,
list?
together,
hang
Jacob.
hang on. Okay. Hard sci-fi refers to, okay, so soft sci-fi. No, wait, that's not right. Soft science
Blasted
fiction.
sci-fi.
Okay, so soft sci-fi refers to soft sciences, psychology, political science, sociology, as compared to hard science fiction, which explores hard sciences like physics, astronomy, and biology. Yeah, but
Which
that
has
Collider
nothing to do
article is
with
a
it.
big giant load of shit right there.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with half these episodes. The Midnight Sun? How's that hard sci-fi? Trev,
Well, you're talking about weather. You're talking about biology. That's something.
Yeah.
what does Time Enough at Last have to do with that? He tried to commit suicide. I don't know if that's human psychology or
Oh, for
whatever you
fuck's
just
sake,
said.
man! I understand that the not liking of that, but it does talk about, I suppose, history or like future predictions and such. I
I've
don't
seen
know.
the body
Well,
electric.
this one's got robots.
It does have robots.
It's got Roombas and
Roombas
Roombas.
too.
You're
Yeah.
a Roomba.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Roomba. Roomba. No, okay. I'm trying to deflect from talking about the fourth season because the
Just
longer
talk
we
about the
deflect-
damn fourth season.
True. I don't want to talk about the fourth season. Jacob, do we want to talk about the
Okay,
fourth
as
season?
compared to dipping your toe in and getting all
I'm here.
pussyfied and backing away from it, just jump in.
Yeah. Stop
It
being
But I
worked.
remember those times. I remember those times when they made me jump into the deep end. Watch as I'm diving.
And
I'm
you
in
know
the
what?
shallows
You
now.
came out the other side. You survived.
I guess. I don't know.
Suck it up,
The way I'm hosting
cupcake.
this episode, I don't know if I survived anything.
You're
So
fine.
This is
Triv's
I-
trying to comfort me as she's freezing to
Fuck's
death.
sake.
Anyway, so all right, let's do it. The fourth season of the Twilight Zone is the hour-long season that took place from January 3rd to May, whatever. Triv actually made a good point that we're actually almost on schedule to kind of finish the season and start the season exactly when it started and finished in 1963.
Yeah, we're about 3 weeks off. So
yeah. Enough of these shenanigans. Let's talk about an episode of the Twilight Zone. It's season 3, episode 28, The Changing of the Guard. It's directed by
Wait.
Rod
Wrong
Serling.
episode.
no.
Wrong
Uh,
episode.
Okay,
I am going
so
to push you into the fourth season pool
I've
if you
gone
don't
back in
get on
time.
with it.
like kicking and screaming. We're
Why are
kicking
you
and
an
screaming.
ass?
Sounds like my
I am.
goats. Ah!
That's how you kick and scream in the world of Twilight Zone. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about season 4, episode 1. It's called In His Image, directed by Peter Lafferty, written by Charles Beaumont, based off his book. Production code 4851. Air date January 3rd, 1963. Stars George Grizzard, Gail Kobe, Katherine Squire. Okay. We talked about this season for the longest time, probably since the beginning of this actual podcast. We are actually here, and let's get into the fact it's an hour long. I was definitely worried that I wouldn't like these episodes from the get-go, because, or at least I remember not liking them very much, because this show is not built to be an hour long. I don't know. What do you guys think? Without talking about the episode, what do you guys think about it? It's not really built to be an hour long. 50 minutes.
Actually, it's more like 52.
B.
But the last like minute and a half is previews and all that kind of stuff.
That don't count.
No.
The episode's 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I can't speak for the other ones because most of them I remember, but I don't remember well, like since we haven't gotten to them yet. But this one kind of felt like where the episode divided, or like where the midpoint came, it felt like it was a 2-part story. So like you'd see and maybe that's just me trying to justify the fact that it's, you know, so much longer. But for the most part, I think it felt like 2 scripts that they had kind of popped together to create a story. It kind of felt like 2 different stories, really, that were kind of loosely connected.
It had 2 twists.
It did.
It had a mid twist.
There was the first twist,
End
and this was the
twist.
second twist.
Check.
No, but like, I mean, just in general, like the fact that, okay, so basically we talked about this before we did our 3rd season wrap up. The guy who was running the studio at the time basically canceled the Twilight Zone, brought it back because this other show that he was really high on did not do very well, and he's like, you got to make it an hour long. So Rod Serling's like, fine, I guess we'll do it. And I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, we've talked about this kind of before, but like, what is your overall thoughts on just the fact that, do you think after watching this first episode that the hour long is going to help it this season, or is going to or taint, or however you want to put it on the, like, what do you guys think about that? Because like we're getting into some, like, you know, like the videotape era when they were trying to make, you know, episodes videotaped, and I don't know, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think we always talk about how, you know, with any of these ideas for these, you know, even if they're based off of a story, you still have to have, with the time that you have to make the most use of it. And with a half-an-hour episode, you only have so much time to be able to flesh out your characters, make them interesting, tell your story, and then get it out the door. With this, you do get more time to kind of flesh out those characters. But as we found with Twilight Zone, it has to be the right way to flesh them out. It can't just be, you know, oh, we're going to stand here and talk for 15 minutes about, you know, niceties or whatever it might be. So that's where I leave it.
Mm-hmm. James
Glad
like,
we agree.
yeah.
Mhm.
Fresh fried potatoes.
So I was a bit apprehensive going into this. I couldn't imagine why.
Well, considering that Nick has basically been walking around with a sandwich board that says the end is near
Yeah.
for the past
No,
season
Trev.
and a half.
Trev, you got that wrong. The end is nigh, not near. We gotta
Same
be more
difference.
professional here. We gotta be like Rod
Hell
Serling.
no.
Rod Serling wouldn't stop and say the end is near. He would say the end is nigh. Gosh, Trev.
The end is Nick.
Yeah, with
Future
that
is
said,
female.
yeah, you Trev. No, okay. No, in all honesty, like, yeah, I mean, I have been kind of, you know, the proponent that this season would be a failure. And I think overall, I think it proved to be a failure, just on the simple fact that I think Ross Sterling just stopped. Yeah, I don't think he stopped caring. I think he was finally starting to see that this series only had so much potential, and the people who were the money men behind the scenes were officially starting to cause some real strife. And as we'll see in the 5th season, is kind of where it ends and where it got canceled for the final time. And I don't know.
But I will still come back and say that, and I understand that money men screw with everything, but I can't look at this season and say, well, you know, just write it off as, well, it's all shit. You know, like, there is a lot of good stuff that comes out of this season, and even more so out of
Like
season
Jezebel?
5, because oh, absolutely Jezebel. But like one of my favorite episodes of Print Demon is in this season, and there are good moments here. And I think to
Yeah.
discount this season is to discount Serling to some extent, and that's not right either. But I do understand that these hour episodes, given the format that we're used to and given the format that anthologies tend to take, an hour format is not ideal by any stretch.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true, and I understand. It's just it's hard to, for instance, like this episode opens up with Alan, who is played by George Grizzard, going into a subway system and being approached by an evangelist, evangelist, whatever.
Evangelical
And yeah,
person.
it's like it's like a scene that goes, it like really doesn't add much to the episode to me
Comes back
personally.
around to it.
But I don't know. It feels like something like, for instance, he doesn't really throw the woman off the platform, or does he? I don't know.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
He pushes her ass in front of a train.
Which did that take you
She
guys by
gets
surprise?
chewed up.
I don't know. It's
I
just
guess Nick,
weird. It's a weird opening.
no, it is. And ultimately with the discussion of the fourth season, my last word on it is going to be this. And I understand, because it is not going
Good
to
stock and
be
no more.
what the first that's it isn't going to be what the first 3 seasons are. But we are still going through it, obviously, so it is seeing both the good and the bad with eyes wide open, like a Nickelback
With
song.
arms wide open.
No, with eyes
Enough
wide
of that.
open. Yeah.
I like this episode.
Oh God, it's starting. The predictions. Jacob, the predictor. He's like, I'm gonna love this season.
I mean, I can't speak to the rest, the other 17 episodes in this season.
No,
I know I've seen
I'm
them, but
kidding. Yeah.
I didn't hate this. I went in uh expecting it to be bad, and the opening that you mentioned a minute ago, it is weird. It's like, what is going on here? And,
Well,
he's in the subway, throws this chick off. She tries to, you need Jesus, and he says, "Go to hell," and he throws her in front of a train.
I was waiting for the.
And then he
I was
shows
waiting
up at his girlfriend's apartment. So I was like, okay, that was weird. But then I get thinking about it. I'm like, that's good though, because it starts off with questions. It starts off and you never, and it does a good job of kind of making you forget that happened until you need to remember it. And you go back to it and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. When it comes back to why he did that, I think it's like, oh shit, he did do that. Because I kind of, as I was watching the episode, forgot he threw this old lady in front of a train, like first time we saw this guy.
that's the only main issue with this episode is they introduce stuff and then you forget about, which probably is the point.
Yeah, I think it was, because if you're thinking the whole time that this dude's a murderer, why did he murder that person? Which you are, like, I thought about it one other time. I was like, well, why did he do? What's going on? I will give it that. It did something for me that I haven't gotten out of the Twilight Zone in a while, be it because it's something the first season did really well. And I don't think any of the subsequent seasons have done it as well. Hidden the mystery a bit. There's been a couple of episodes I didn't know what was going to happen, but some of those episodes I didn't care either. Like the one with the alien and the little Mexican kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen, but I also didn't give a shit. This one, I was invested enough to be interested in what's going on here. And my mind kept thinking, okay, it's this. He's in a virtual world. He's in a simulation. He's in what's going on. And either by virtue of not giving a shit because the episode's not that good, or I already know because I remember the episode, like the Invaders or something. Not to take from it, but it is what it is. I know what happens there. It's been a while since something was going on in an episode, and I didn't have a pretty good idea of where it was going to end. The first season did that great. And I said that a lot.
Oh, so you didn't know what was going to happen in this episode, huh?
No, I did not remember this episode.
Really?
I didn't.
Yeah, because I kind of saw. I actually kind of saw it coming because
you get to a point. You get to a point where it's like, okay, all right. It like at the halfway point, it gives away one twist of like what he is and what's going on with him specifically. And then, like, as it got closer to the end, especially when the whole wigging out thing in the end happens, I was like, and then the next scene happens before we find out who it is without ruining anything. I was like, oh, okay, which one? And then I did kind of, I guess in the last like minute or two, I guessed, oh, I bet it's this. And
Yeah.
that's why he's acting weird. But it wasn't like, I mean, a bunch of the other episodes, either A, like I said, they haven't been great episodes. And I've been like, I really don't care what's going on. Like the one with the alien and the Mexican kid, or in the Mexican town. I was like, I don't really care. Or I was able to pick out, oh, I bet it's this. And it was usually something around there. I haven't been super surprised by an episode in a while, is what I'm saying. I mean, there's been good
Well-
episodes that I've been like, oh, I liked that. But I haven't been like, oh, I haven't been like trying to figure out a mystery in my head and not
Yeah.
gotten it and gone through a whole bunch of different scenarios just to find, oh, it did the Twilight Zone. And that's something I think the first season did great, is you'd sit there and you're going through all these, say, what's really going on here? What's the twist? What's the Twilight Zone part of this? And then you get to the end and it's always something you didn't think of. And I wasn't thinking that he was, I mean, we've already said he's a fucking robot. I wasn't thinking, oh, the guy's a robot. I was thinking
Well,
he was in
I
some
mean-
simulation, but then I was like, wait,
Right.
it's the 60s. Would they even have that concept?
No, they would have had like hollow. Well, I don't even know if they would have
It
had
said-
the
but then he
holodeck
said,
thing
oh, he
on.
works in computers
Yep.
and stuff like that. So I was like, man, what is this? And there's this game, full motion video game called The Harvester from back in the day. And it was kind of like that, where somebody went back to like this kind of idyllic kind of setting like this, but everything was just a little bit off. And it was because they were in a simulation. You find out in the end. I
See-
was like, is this where they got that idea? I really
remember
enjoyed that.
Jacob, you remember the 60s very differently than I do. I remember like
Well,
a
I wasn't
zombie named
alive, so-
Stubbs, and like he would use his pancreas to kill
Stubbs the
people.
Zombie
and
was
then-
the 50s.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, I also remember the movie, or I also remember the story of an alien that came down and probed people and to try to take over the world, and
That was most of
the
sounded like
zombie
Jack
movies in the
Nicholson.
50s.
Well, it sounded like Jack Nicholson. You know,
Either destroy all humans or spaced invaders.
Ack, 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 ack.
well, Space Invaders is in the 90s.
Yeah, no, but he sounded like Jack Nicholson too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would
yeah,
also
I
add.
liked that
oh,
it
sorry.
kept me guessing, and it's been a long time since that's happened, and that
Been a
happened a lot in the first
while.
season. So we'll talk about the intricacies of the episode for sure. But I really enjoyed that feeling again of
Nice.
not knowing exactly what was going on until I was supposed to know, or kind of figured out myself with the character.
Oh, speaking of, this is the first time we've ever gotten the actual iconic intro,
Oh,
which we
yeah.
haven't had. I honestly, this is the first time I've ever realized, not really the first time, but you ever remember watching the Twilight Zone and you remember like the intro, like this one, or you watch a TV show, you remember that intro, and then you realize it actually didn't come until later. It
Yeah.
actually had like,
Yeah.
is it one of those things where it's your memory playing tricks on you, or did they just use like, did they intersplice that intro into the other episodes? Like, does that, how do
I
you
think
guys
that's
feel
just the
about
one that became iconic. That was
Yeah.
the later. This was the later one, so that's what they went with. So whenever somebody
But you
referenced
don't-
the Twilight Zone, they had that something like from that intro, and that's because we weren't there. Well, I wasn't there when this aired originally, so
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I remember maybe at time enough at last having this intro. Like, am I just like having that weird memory?
You're having a
you-
Mandela
you
effect.
got like some revisionist history going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt. You bastard.
Fake news.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I would
but
also add,
yeah,
and I don't know if you guys found this, but I felt like, and I know fourth season Rod Serling going into it was probably like tired as hell, but the shooting on this felt more dynamic. Like it felt like
yeah,
they
it
were
had,
doing
start-
it had
shots.
wipes.
They have more money. I mean,
mean-
it seems like it to me. It seems more cinematic.
Yeah, like there was
there's
just
TV
there was
stuff
more
there.
interesting shots going on. It wasn't
Lots more on location work too.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot.
They had
less
wipes
sets.
and everything. I mean,
Yeah, it was like Star Wars.
Yeah.
yeah. I was waiting for like, you know,
No
the
Wilhelm
Death Star to
scream,
come
though.
down.
No,
That's what I was
no.
gonna say. Like when the woman fell on the train, there was no Wilhelm scream. It was
Yeah.
sad. It would have made
Yeah.
it so much better.
I noticed that too though when they like
Ah.
I took notice of it when they were riding near the beginning when they were riding with in the car talking and stuff, and I was like, they're on an actual location. And I noticed that a lot of it was more location shooting and not sets. I mean, it may have been a
Yeah.
back lot, but they were actually. Was that the same town, by the way, from the one with
Probably. I mean that her
William
apartment's I
Shatner?
think it probably was, but her apartment's like it looks like the one from like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, there
I
were
think
definitely
that
some sets, but I mean, there was a
yeah.
lot more on location shooting, and I know that costs more. And it just had it looks more expensive, not like markedly, but for the time, it looks like there's more money on the screen.
Right.
Which
Well,
I mean,
even
they're
just the
shooting
way the
twice as long
camera
as it
moved and
is.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and maybe
yeah.
maybe they got new like DPs and stuff like that, and it just looks more professional. It looks less
Yeah.
TV.
Agreed.
I mean, his hand, like when he rips off the skin, I mean, that was it was like a pretty cool looking like
Yeah.
robot
Yeah.
hand.
I like how the parts
Uh,
were moving in there and everything, like
Mhm.
Terminator, and like some of them like busted loose because it wasn't just like the parts. He like two of his parts were broken,
Yeah. He
and
couldn't use his hand after that.
yeah, and he didn't either. I noticed that
Mhm.
he didn't use his hand at all, and like the parts were moving inside. And I mean, yeah, you look at like the opening, and it's like his skin's like 5 feet deep, but like still, I mean, it was for a TV show in 1960. What is this? Three by this point? Yeah,
3.
January.
Yeah.
That was a good effect.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. So Alan is an individual that is marrying this girl or is going to marry this girl named Jessica. It sounds like they've only known each other for a little bit.
A week.
But but the question I have is Jessica, like, where did was Alan like coming home from like where he thought he was Corville and she just like happened to be on the side of the road? Did I miss something? Because like they just met like 4 days
Think
Well,
prior.
we picked them up after they met, and it was just kind of back then, you'd have like those whirlwind romances where it's like, oh hey, we're gonna get hitched because yay, love, sex, woo.
And he did specifically say near the end when he was talking about it, though. He said all these great things, but one of the things at the end he's like, and she's lonely. So like,
Yeah.
I think that was put in there to show that like yeah, they probably had this whirlwind thing, but also she was lonely, so she was probably a little quicker to jump in.
Yeah.
And she made the comment of more or less, "I'm no spring chicken. I'm like 20. I should be married with 5 kids by now." you know?
Yeah, she said she was like I think she quoted herself as a spinsteress.
Yeah, I
Is
think
what she
she's like
Yeah.
said.
6. I think she said
Yeah.
actually, but she was like,
I really enjoyed her
26.
character. Like I thought
Yeah.
that she was pretty well rounded.
Well, the
That
Which
is
question
something
for a
I
lot
thought
of
this episode. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for a lot of the female characters that occupied the Twilight Zone, she's one of the more fleshed out ones, I felt like.
Well, I thought that was something about this episode that they did do well with the time is they took the time and like you mentioned earlier, I mean, they could have a 30-minute episode stretched out to 50 minutes and just have people sitting there talking about nonsense and it's just boring. I felt like they did a pretty good job with the character development in
Yeah.
this. Like the part there was a part literally where they stop on the side of the road and just talk for a minute and then switch spots. But I wasn't bored during that because they were actually like depositing information. They were giving us information through conversation naturally. And I thought it was really good character development.
Yeah.
It wasn't just bullshit fluff. I never felt like there was fluff. This didn't feel like an hour or 50-minute episode to me. If
I would say that the first like the stuff some of the stuff with the lady or the
I
evangelical lady at the open was a little bit that way, but otherwise, yeah, I was pretty
I
happy
don't
with the
yeah, that
pacing.
was out there, but I think it was supposed to be. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be really confused of what's going on, and it's like, okay, we'll come back to this. And they did, I'll give them that. And I mean, that could have
see.
been a little
I don't
different, I
know.
guess.
Like I personally thought I personally when it started getting halfway through, I'm like, oh, we saw like 25 minutes to go because I messaged Triv about like something I can't remember what it was. He's like, oh, I'm already halfway through it. I'm like, oh, that means you that'd be the point where you will actually be almost done with the episode. And I started feeling it because my personal opinion, I enjoyed this episode as well, but I just feel like there's a lot of stuff in this episode that could be excised. A lot of them in the town, it felt like it was, as Triv said, part one, and it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of them just traveling through the town. I mean, they went to a house, they went to the hotel,
Graveyard.
they went here, they went
Right.
there, and it just felt like that they were padding out the episode to make it get to its eventual conclusion.
I agree and disagree.
Why do you
I
just why
think
do you
I agree. I think this could have been a 24-minute episode. I think they could have told this story in 24 minutes. I don't think that it would have been as impactful had they told the story in 24 minutes. I think that the character development
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
like
I think
getting
it
to
could have been
know these
fine.
characters and the little things of him like freaking out and like what like
Yeah, but how
my
many
job
times is
was
he?
there and all this and that. I think that all that benefited the end result because the end of it was about these two people and what eventually happens in the end. Had we not gotten to know these characters, I don't think it would have been very impactful. I think it could have still been neat. And it's like, oh, he's this. And oh, look, he switch. Like the novelty of what he is and the switch or whatever, or who it is in the end could have still been neat. It could have been an entertaining 24-minute episode. And who knows if you tightened it up like that, maybe it would be like, okay, yeah, I think that's better. But I think that having it longer like this, the way that they did it here and having the development, getting to know these characters more, it's a different impact. I think when it happens, it's
Well,
not just a neat novelty. It's that, oh, I start wondering, well, what's going to happen to her? How are they going to, I just start thinking about some of the things that have happened and how this character is going to know those things and how that's going to be a weird transit. I don't know. I thought that the character development added to it.
well, the problem I have with it is you don't need like all. I'm sorry, but you don't really need the subway station stuff. You could literally have them two driving to the town,
The
and
subway, you mean in
Alan's
the
talking
beginning?
about. Yeah, and you have like them driving through the town.
No,
They're
you
talking
don't.
about their upcoming wedding, and Alan, like we're gonna visit my Aunt Mildred, and then they have the weird stuff going on. I think when it starts out, it's giving way too much away that kind of takes away the mystique of what the Twilight Zone is, which is the idea of like throwing that kind of mystery in there, but not kind of like it doesn't work a lot of times, but not having it be like in your face so quickly. And I just think it fails as soon as it opens up with the fact that, oh, so we have this guy who's just murdered someone. He's hearing strange electronic noises.
Well,
He
that's his
hears,
problem.
but
That's why he's
they do it
defective.
like 8
He's
times in this
murderous.
episode.
Yeah, but the thing is, if he never killed that lady in the beginning, because I agree, I think the thing in the beginning
Well,
maybe
you
could have
can
been done
mention it.
differently, and you could have taken
Yeah.
it out, and it's still the
Well, I mean,
episode
you
could
could
have
have
played out.
mentioned it like at the end, like where Walter goes, "Oh, well, there was a news reporter of a story where someone was murdered and blah 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 blah," and
It's a
you
hook,
kind of,
though.
but
The purpose of
it's
it
giving
being
too
there
much
is it's a
away
hook.
though. Like, but
It's a
the
hook.
problem is, like, I get that. No, I understand that, but it's giving too much away about Alan and like him murdering people. Like the whole episode's about the mystery of
Mm,
like who Alan is and why
I feel like
he's
that mystery
hearing
was
these
still there, though.
noises.
I mean, because
Is
even though
it
I saw
though?
him murder this lady, I had no idea why. Quite honestly, most of the episode, I was thinking something made him do that, or he's being controlled, or something like that. I wasn't thinking he was actually a
Could have been
murderer. He was just,
monsters on monsters to do on Maple Street kind of a thing,
yeah, or
where there
yeah,
was
something like
little
that.
pushes. Yeah,
Because you hear like the me, and I was like, something's controlling him, or something's going on. Something's not right here. I wasn't thinking, oh, he's a murderer. Yes, he murdered somebody, but I wasn't thinking like he did it. He had control. But that's what we find out because that's what's defective about the characters. They even say, he's like, haven't you ever, yeah, we've all thought about murdering somebody or killing somebody, but we don't do it. You don't have that thing that keeps you from doing it. You're broken. And had they not shown that, I don't know, like when he's wigging out and he's like, you need to run, I'm going to hurt you. Or he didn't say, I'm going to hurt you. We are at that point, I don't know how much of a threat he would have been, but when that happens, we harken back to the beginning. We're like, well, he has already killed one person. So he might kill
at
your ass.
least.
And it is a hook. I mean, it is kind of like if it had just started with them riding down the street, that's fine. That would have been okay. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. If it was a 24-minute episode, it's probably what they would have done with it. You could cut this down to 24 minutes. You could, I agree.
Well,
Cut
I
out
mean,
some of the stuff with the hotel and the going to the house and all that. You could just put like one of those things in and talk about the other. Even, I mean, literally, I think you would not have to add anything. You could just cut around all that and cut it down to 24 minutes because even the cop comes up and says, oh, you came to this guy's house and blah, 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 blah. But I still don't think it would have been as impactful. And you have that hook in the beginning, even though you're confused and you're like, what? Why did he just like randomly throw this church lady off the fucking rails? And it doesn't give you an answer right away. It gives you an answer at the very end. That's what I feel like is a hook that gets you to thinking what's
I
going
would
on
agree.
here.
I would agree. It is
the
that
hook.
thing that makes you that kind of tosses you off the trail of, well, what is he? We know that there is something
Mhm.
about him that is off. Is it
But
is it
that's the problem. Like, they don't really go back to that until like 30 minutes into the episode. It kind of is like thrown away. It's like,
isn't that like a movie though? Like you
Yeah,
get
it's
those
the
those
end. You
things
come
that
back.
come back and such.
Because if you
not
found out if you
necessarily.
found out in the middle, then you'd be like, okay, what's the rest of the episode gonna be?
Right.
I mean, but like, you look at some of the best movies with like, like twist and stuff like that. They still reference and still kind of keep you thinking about that twist as it moves along, and it doesn't do that here until he wakes up in the car when he's been hearing like the electronic noises and stuff like that. But it's like,
Well, that's the
I,
reference.
I,
Like
what's that?
the noises because he's sitting there
But you don't
and out of
need that.
nowhere
Like,
he hears the noises and the random voices and stuff, and then he like flips out and kills this lady. So throughout the episode, periodically something will happen and he'll start hearing those noises, the same ones. Because like whenever I heard those, I was like, oh, that's what he heard when he threw that bitch off the fucking rails. So it's like, what's he about to do? And then, it seems like he kind of fights it back. But then like when he gets out on the side of the road with whatever her name was, his girlfriend.
Jess.
Yeah, he it gets intensifies and he doesn't fight it back, and that's when he's like, "Hey, you need to get out of here. Bad shit's about to happen." You're like, "Oh yeah, it is," because he done killed one person. He'll kill your ass next. So like, it does reference it. I feel like with that noise, you hear that noise, and it's supposed to be a threat of, "Oh, last time he heard this noise, he killed somebody." We don't know what, and honestly, I thought the noise was either something that was controlling him, but I really thought it was like some type of, if not a simulation, pretty much that. Like we were gonna find out, oh, I don't know, these voices he was hearing like he was asleep, maybe.
Or it could have been like Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, or something like I thought honestly we were gonna find out in the end it was like either the future or he was in some lab, like wherever he works, as he said, he works in computers in a lab. And like he woke up like with dio or electrodes and like, oh, we put you under this long ago and you've been stuck in this whatever. Like I said, I don't know if
Total
simulation
Recall.
was an actual thing, but something like that, like it was a
Or
dream.
where is everybody?
Yeah, or something, yeah, something like that. Like it wasn't really happening or something. I didn't. That's where I was leaning, but I would like a robot was not where I was leaning.
No.
So they got me.
I
Robot-
kind of was. I kind of was with the simple fact that like suppressed memories and stuff like that, and that's one of the things that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Is like at what point did he suppress his memory, and
He'd
it's-
only been around for a week though. Like he really
Yeah.
couldn't suppress the memories. It was those things coming to the surface
Well,
beyond.
but all of a sudden
because he was broken
like
too.
how did well no, but he was broken, but he just forgets everything within that week. Like,
no, he's like a human.
unless like the other guy banged him in the head with a shovel or something like that. I just don't see how he forgot
Well,
it.
how often?
He
Okay,
was-
you're walking through your normal life, right? You going to work, doing the thing.
Yes, I forget things all
Do
the
you
time. Sure.
no, but do you like think back like, oh well, I don't remember 3 weeks ago. You don't really think about that. You're kind of in the moment.
Well, but
You
I'm not
have the
suppressing.
far
Like,
past-
Trauma,
if
too.
he's
They
an
never really
android,
talk about the suppressing though.
but
It's
no, I mean, if he's
trauma.
an android, like it has to be something in his programming that causes him to do it because he just doesn't like. And I'm sorry, but androids just don't forget. I mean, it's
But they
just
don't.
like
Yeah,
They,
but
they don't they don't
Unless you got
question the
shocked.
fact that they don't question the fact that they don't have those memories. Like, someone asks you, okay, what did you have for dinner 2 weeks ago? It's not going to be something that comes to mind, but then you go, oh, what
it
did
was
I have
chicken
for 2 weeks
cacciatore,
ago?
Trev.
Right,
Gosh.
but
he
yeah.
did say he made him, because you got to think our understanding of computers and possible androids and robots and things like that is much greater now than it was then. Just our general understanding. I'm sure there are people that understood, but general people watching understanding probably didn't think of it like that. And he did say in the end he made him to be pretty much a copy of him. So I'm assuming he means like his emotions and all that too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he can experience trauma, and we know as people, you have like a traumatic thing, and you can block that out. I mean, people do it all the time. I mean, your brain makes, oh, this is too much for you, so we're going to block that off and say something else happened.
Right.
And that happens with like massive trauma, and that's his brain, even though it's an electronic device. I mean, it was supposed to be, this other guy's a genius. They don't go into too much detail about it. He just did it. This is a copy of him, and his brain made up to cope. Said, nope, this just accept the backstory and go from there.
Right. Because that's something that, like, you look at Blade Runner, you look at any movie where there's a replicant or some kind of android. There's always there are holes, but there are holes that are generally accepted because they're not given to that kind of deep thought or like
And they
that
don't
level
go
of
into detail about it, so there may be explanations. If you don't explain it, you can say, well, I didn't
Yeah,
explain it, but I also didn't give enough information to discredit it.
it's like time
I'm just
travel.
confused.
Look at how time travel has worked in movies and TV
Hey,
shows.
hey, don't you bash time travel, Triv? Gosh.
I'm just saying, but if you
Don't
don't
you,
establish,
don't
if
you,
you
Triv,
okay,
don't you?
okay, if you don't establish rules for time travel and just say, okay, we jump in
There are
the
no
phone
rules in
box
time travel.
and we put the antenna up and we go travel back to 1855 and 1907 and wherever else.
You
You
can't touch
don't
yourself, though. I learned that from Time Cop.
exactly. That would be bad. And you
Two of
don't
the
want to
same
have
thing can't
sex with your
occupy the
grandma.
same space, or you'll turn
As
into a
Ron
big,
Silver,
nasty
as Ron
90s
Silver figured
CG
out.
blob.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah,
I don't know. You guys make valid points. I agree, but I still can't.
in the
He,
MST3K mantra, repeat to yourself, it's just a show.
I mean, we could say that, but we're here discussing the show, so I have to
I
raise my qualms.
understand,
It's
but you
okay
have
to
to
be wrong
remember.
sometimes.
No, well, and here's the thing. Even
Oh,
if
I'm wrong all
even
the
given
time. Just not today.
even given that 50-minute runtime, they're trying to tell a bigger story. So there is stuff that's going to not be
Well,
able exactly. You're not going to be able to get every single detail in. Now, not that doesn't say
okay,
that
then why
okay,
make it an hour
okay,
long if you
okay.
can't get every detail in?
Because that's what the studio mandated from them, and they tried to go accordingly.
I don't think they mandated like not give us details. I think they mandated we need to make this an hour long. So I just think
Don't
it's
you think
weird
though?
that
I think
Okay,
they
look
spent
at
the time well.
right. Okay, so Rod Serling, I'm sure that the criticisms that we have had of these, where some of these stories have not been well fleshed out, they looked at those and said, okay, what can we do to make this fourth season the best it can be? Because Rod Serling is not one to do stuff half-assed. So I think that they were trying to tell stories that were above and beyond what they had done previously. And, this was their first attempt at that. Whether you like it or not, it is still a more in-depth story than a lot of the other stuff that we've gotten to this point.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that you aren't making valid points because you are, but there is also that understanding that it's they're trying to tell twice as much story and still get all the rest across.
I don't know. I don't look at it like that. I mean, yeah, they did because it did have like two twists and stuff. And I agree that the halfway point, which I think they structured it that way purposely, so they could have that act break. I don't think they're telling twice as much story. I think they just made the story. Whoa! I think they just made the story juicier. They said, "Hey, we have an opportunity here to go more in depth with this story, and really build our characters up because that's some of the Twilight Zone. Some of them have done a great job building characters up in 24 minutes, but some of them have built up the story, built up the twist, built up
Right.
the hook or whatever, and that's fine too because you got 24 minutes." But now they have an opportunity to have an interesting story, but also get you more invested in these characters. And I think that they did. I was never bored. I was never like checking my watch. And Nick, I know you said you were, and that's fine. It's okay to be wrong, but I mean, I was never bored with what I was watching. I was intrigued. And like I said, the biggest thing was I didn't know what was going to happen. And I really, really, really enjoyed trying to figure out what it was and then something different happening. And it was just everything else. I've already said it. It reminded me of the first season for that. Yes, it was longer, but that
That's
feeling of not knowing, trying to figure it out, and then being like, oh, having that kind of like, I thought that was refreshing. I mean, I think
you just
that
like the fact
not mid credit, the act break reveal of the robot was probably the big one of the episode. And what happens in the end was more of just kind of like kind of that situation. Like when it went back to the lab, I was like, okay, which one is it? And I was like, I think it's the robot that's in the floor. And I think he went. Because if it was the robot that went and he was in the floor, I don't think that would have been as interesting. So I figured that out, but that was literally as it was happening.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing about that I'm sure you liked about this, Jacob, is she wanted to go home for a quickie. She's like, "Oh, I guess we can't have coffee. I guess we can't. Let's just go back home and."
When she
do
said
our
that, I
thing."
was like, "What? What? What
Yeah.
she say?" But no, she's just an alcoholic.
He wanted to spark the girlies.
She's just an alcoholic.
I mean, it was 1963, so
Yeah,
we
he was
are in
quite the
the heat of the
sparker.
60s. right?
Yeah.
Quite the
We're
sparker,
in
he
the
said. But you know
I
what?
mean,
That was kind of a, if you think about it, because you know he's electric, because he's a robot.
da, da,
Quite the
da, 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 da,
sparker.
da, da. Yeah, that's
Just got
actually
that.
pretty good. I
Yeah.
didn't actually think about that. I will say when
I
we
mean,
were
we didn't
watching
know.
this, yeah. Well, I don't remember ever seeing this episode, and if I did, it's been ages. But when they had the whole thing with him and Jess, all I could think was, okay, clearly there's a time differential difference here or something. I wonder if Jess is actually like his daughter, or some
was
like
gonna go,
maybe
oh
she's a
boy.
robot too. Yeah, or something. But there was
that'd
that
be so
connection
weird.
of the
It's
reason
old
that they
boy.
got
Yeah.
together. Oh, yeah. But
No,
I'm
the
glad it
question I
wasn't.
have is the thing that made me laugh is when like we go through all this effort of like the town and the people in the town. And he like knocks on the house and Aunt Mildred's not there. Some old man has been there for 9 years and goes on and on. And the place he works at is not real. And there's no high school that has his information. He goes to the graveyard. And nobody's there. His parents aren't there, but we find out William Ryder, whatever his name is, there. And then like he gets to explain, like we find out, he's a robot and he finds William Ryder and stuff like that. And I think the funniest part is he's like, well, I wanted to give you my memories, but it's been 20 years since I've been to Corville. So, I did the best I could. And he's like, well, you got like 90% of my memories wrong. So I'm going to this town and freaking out everyone. And, he's going, he's like, I don't know. I've been there 20 years. It's probably different than what it used to be. I was laughing when he said that because he's like, yeah, I tried. I'm supposed to be like this amazing scientist, but I tried. My memory sucks.
Well, he
I liked
outrightly
when
said
he
that he was
lost his,
good. Oh, good. Sorry.
no, I was just saying I liked when he lost his ever living shit and started beating the shit out of him in there. They were going ham on each other, just throwing his ass all over that room.
It was more throwing than it was actually fighting.
It was almost like if you've seen like Alien, the first Alien, when they whack Kane with the fire extinguisher and it like breaks his head and he starts wigging out going and all that. I was like, that this robot has totally malfunctioned. He's like wigging out all over the place like something from The Thing, and he just it was like, damn.
How'd that go again?
Yeah. I just like that. That's my favorite part. Because it kept going, and I was like, he's really throwing this guy all over this room.
It's very, very Captain Kirk taking on
Visceral.
Yes.
For the
It was
60s.
Captain Kirk on a desert planet taking on a big rock creature.
Yeah, well, I think the choreography here was a little bit better.
True.
It's taking some hits. And like they trashed that fucking room, man.
I do think that the basic structure of that was the same set as the shelter.
It is possible. I mean,
Yeah.
they probably filmed it during the same time. They just picked the pieces that they filmed for this episode. Like eventually, we're going to make an hour-long episode, so we'll bring the guy from the chaser, and then we'll use the set pieces from the shelter and 4 o'clock, and just kind of stitch it together.
Woohoo!
I thought they had really good chemistry together.
They did. They were a good couple.
Yeah, they were even though, I mean, that's when it said we met like a week ago. I was like, wait, what? You getting married? I mean, that was kind of took me for a loop, but I thought that they had really good chemistry together. They seemed natural. I mean, say what you will about Twilight Zone a lot of the times, and you just kind of take it for what it is, 60s TV. Sometimes the performances are, 60s TV. Sometimes it's more about the story than the performances.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, can we talk about how when they're driving away from the town, Alan has his like wig out and stuff like that. He runs up the side of a mountain. He somehow has a rock. He's like, she goes, "Is that a rock, or are you just happy to see me?" And he's like, "Get away from me! Get away from me!" Then he gets hit by George McFly's father. And, he's like, "Are you all right? I care about you."
He had like a waiver and everything he signed. The dude hit him and he was like, I signed the waiver saying absolving you of any. He's like, damn, do you just ride around with waivers? How often you hitting people? You got to have a fucking waiver absolving you of any like personal liability for hitting somebody with a car.
Yes.
Well, no, he signs
not
a napkin.
again. Hang on.
He signs a piece of paper. He's like, "Sir, this is a McDonald's napkin."
It still counts, damn it.
I signed the waiver. Who has these? Was this a thing insurance had back in the day? It came in like
Who
a
the
little
hell
booklet or
knows?
something you got in the mail. It's like if you
It
hit
was just the
somebody,
Twilight
sign this.
Zone.
Well,
That's
and
how they
the
rolled.
guy that hit him too, like really cared about him. He's like, I want to make love to you, man. I care about you.
He
Who
was
knows
like,
what
dude, I
happened to
told
you?
you. He's like,
He
well, I'm
wanted his sex spot.
just worried about
Yeah,
you.
his
See your
tiddly
mechanical man.
biddlies,
Yeah.
his titty bitties.
Do all those holes work?
I would
He's
also
like-
add on the technology front, the fact that they shot him side by side with himself, whether that was rear projection or however they
No,
did
it
it.
was quite good. Yeah, you're right. I know you're
That
gonna
was
say.
that was excellent. Like
Yeah, it
because a
looks
lot of
seamless.
times that can fall quite flat, and this
Oh, yeah.
didn't have that at all.
I
It
mean,
was
back
well
then,
done.
the way they did it, we do it digitally nowadays fairly easy, but back then they just take two film cells and they'd either cut them and splice them together. That's usually when you see the seam. You couldn't see a seam here.
No.
So sometimes they'll take them and like just lay them over each other.
Well, it
I wasn't
also
sure if
helped
it was that or if it was rear projection or well, no, it wouldn't
No,
have
it
been.
definitely
mirrors,
didn't look rear
mirrors.
projection, but
Yeah.
it always helps when it's dark too. The
True.
room was
Yeah.
quite dark the whole time, so. But
And
yeah,
when they
it
had
was.
them interacting, it was a far away shot, but I mean, it was done well enough to where obviously that it's two different people, but I mean, they looked alike enough that it sold it.
Yeah. And then their whole battle, like the back and forth of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just waiting for it. Da, 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 da. What is it? The Star Trek? The da, 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 da. How's that go? I'm not doing it right. I
Exactly
know.
like that. Just keep doing it.
Keep going, Nick.
Da, da, da,
Woo!
da,
That is
da,
the new
da, da,
intro.
da, 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 da.
I want our same graphics.
Sorry,
team and
Dan, that's
everything,
gonna be
and
my-
we just hear da 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 da. We should all record it. No, better yet, we'll just go. Nee, 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 nee.
What?
At the same time. We could do like the
Dun,
come
dun,
back from the
dun,
act break.
dun, 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 dun.
Wah, wah, wah. That's what it is when it comes back from the act break.
You know what I liked about this hour-long episode? The music. The music's it'll like be like happy and go lucky, and they'll go dramatic. Then it'll be happy. Usually it's just like one tempo. Here it's just like it'll go dramatic, then it'll be high, happy, and they'll go dramatic again. It was kind of nice.
Afro circus, Afro circus.
Poke it up, Afro.
That's it. I'm joining the circus. So, anyways, but yeah, I mean, basically confronts William or Walter, and Walter confronts him, and Walter, and it's a pretty in-depth talk about how Walter basically tried to create the perfect image of himself and what he wanted to do because he's shy and kind of reserved and all that. He wanted to put the opposite whatever those emotions or opposite traits into this other character, and
Murderer.
yeah, he invented he put a murderer, and he also did something like he advanced the calculator or something like that, so he made residuals, but nobody wanted to help him with the it goes into depth about like how to create a robot, apparently, with like the
Well, he had a lot of people help, like the top people in their industry were there to help him, but they weren't as committed to the project. It was more jokey to them.
I mean, apparently, did you see he had 3 versions of himself?
He
They're
did.
like, yeah.
What were
This
the
one
other
has a
two?
small penis. This one has a medium penis, but I have the biggest penis.
Yeah, like what was wrong with the other two? One of them was sex nuts. Had to be.
Well, one of them was a eunuch.
One
You
had
know.
bad hair.
They're all
One
very waxy.
One had a
One-
face drawn on with a Sharpie.
one had hairy knuckles like Rob Williams.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we figured it out. I think we've done a better job of figuring out this episode than they did back in the 60s. Can you imagine sitting down to watch your weekly Twilight Zone and going, all right, guys, we're going to get this done in a half hour. An hour later, shit's still going on. What the hell's happening? You don't think they were like, or do you think they went, it's like on CBS and they go, it's a supersized episode of the Twilight Zone.
Oh God, there you go.
Yeah.
TGIF.
Yeah. By thanks to Ovaltine and
Superstation.
Oasis cigarettes. The smoothest taste.
Softest.
Softest.
Softest. Yeah.
But he has I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole reveal of like, robots and guy upgrading the calculator and what keeps offering like alcohol to the robot, which can't be good for the robot. I don't know about you guys, but
Well, he said that they said that he made him to be fully functional, so he could eat and drink and sleep and bang and all the rest. So
and he has plastic skin that feels like regular skin.
Squishy.
yay.
It's not crunchy. No, I thought it did just enough explaining. It explained what it needed to, and that was it.
Yeah.
It gave just enough explanation to where the things that you had to explain were there, but it was vague enough to where you couldn't poke too many holes in it. And that's exactly what it needed to do. It was Back to the Future time machine.
Yep.
You understand how to make it work. You don't understand necessarily how it works, but you don't need to. You just need to know you go 88 miles an hour and you go back in time. That's it. And you need, the flux capacitor. You don't need to understand exactly how the science of it works, because you start doing that, you explain too much, and then people are able to poke holes in it. Just leave it vague enough. You gave him reason as to why he was he remembered things differently than they really were. How he was able to do this, how he even got his money. I didn't expect that much of an explanation. He was like, how did you get the money to do this shit? I expected him to just roll with it. Oh, he did it in his garage. But no, he's like, how'd you get this? He's like, I'm a genius, remember? I made this awesome calculator everybody wanted, and now I live off the residuals. And that's some shit that could happen. There's some guy that lives down by Disney World. I don't know if he's still living, but some big mansion near Disney World. Supposedly you could see it from Disney World somewhere. And it's the guy who basically created the the little yellow road reflectors.
Oh, cool.
The little bumps.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
not just that he created something. He had every one of those that got laid in the road. He got some type of kickback of some sort. So dude's fucking rich off of making, maybe it's the reflectors. I don't know. He did something with that. And now he got a fucking mansion down by Disney. I mean, people make innocuous things all the time. Just these
Look
things
at
you take for
egglets.
granted.
Like
Yeah,
the things on the end of shoestrings.
yeah, something like that, like Post-its or some shit. I mean, people make like simple things every day that make them bajillionaires.
Yeah.
Did you know Doritos were originally created in Disneyland?
Cool.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn it. Disney ruins
Some
it.
dude, some dude, some
Now-
dude in working for Disneyland just put seasoning on your taco chips, and Pepsi's like, "We want it," and they're like, "Okay." And that has nothing to do
Yay.
with In His Image, but
Now, if you open a bag of Doritos, they put a chick in it and made it gay.
oh Jesus.
I wonder whatever happened to the chicken in the basket. Did it ever get eaten?
Oh, egg in a basket. I can make that.
Did you hear the story about
Yay.
the chicken and the egg? Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, and then apparently Mildred's like an amalgamation of like different women he knew.
Yeah.
So there is no
I like all
Mildred.
that. All
Yeah.
that shit made sense. I mean, in the way he explained it away, it made sense. It didn't need any more explanation. I was like, oh, okay. He wasn't like, what about Mildred? Well, that was a few different people. There was Miss Parker, who was this and that and blah blah blah, and then Miss Cavender, who was this, that, and then
Oh
and
God,
then
no,
this one who
not
did this.
Cavender. No.
I mean, he didn't go into like, he was just like, no, it was an amalgamation of a bunch of different people I knew that put together. Bam. Okay. Like I like that. And yeah, man.
I like how
I think
dramatic he's
good.
like, "You tried to kill me with scissors," and he opens up his shirt, he's like, "See the scar," and it's just like,
And
yeah.
4 days ago.
I like how his scar is like it's like almost completely healed up after 4 days, or like a week of
He's a
him being
genius. I'm sure he probably figured out stuff.
Yeah, he used
He's
like some-
probably
True,
half
not-
robot.
Probably. There is no real people. It's actually the land of the robots.
Yep.
I do like how he
Age.
did, in fact. I don't know if this is a point of the show, but when he goes and to Jessica or whatever her name is, and he presents himself as Alan, he did essentially make the perfect him. He made himself into the perfect him by going
Yeah.
through and having these failures. He was able to make himself better, I guess, is what it's trying to
True.
say.
But
No,
but he does
absolutely.
like he's
And
like, we need to make more of you guys. We need to make a 4th and a 5th and a 6th and a 7th and a 69th
well,
and
when number 3 whooped his ass all over that fucking laboratory, I think he said, "Okay, I think 3's good. We're good here. I've learned my lessons." See, you know, as an advocate for corporal punishment, I think that a good ass whooping can just do a lot of people good, man. And sometimes that can change your perspective on life. And it did him. It made him a
Yep.
better person. He changed his name to fucking Alan.
Well, Walter or Alan, which one do you choose?
Was it Walter or Richard?
It was Walter.
No, it was Richard. He's a dick. How do you get dick from Richard, by the way? But anyway, moving on. Let's not talk about that. One of my neighbors from my
shit.
first house, name was Richard, and his son was named Richard too. And they called him Little Richard.
Better than Little
Essentially, it was
Dicky.
Little Dick.
The question is like, you have Rich and Dick. How do you get Rob from Bob? Like, I don't know, Robert from Bob, or
You know,
Bob from Robert.
Bob from Robert. Yeah, that don't make no sense either. But I for some reason see that over Richard and Dick. I mean, where does it come from? I need to look that up, but not tonight.
Well, yeah, I was gonna do that after we. Anyways, so we get to the part that Jacob's been alluding to. Once it's figured out that there is no going back, there's the world's longest Twilight Zone fight ever known to man, because there's back and forth destroying the large. I like how he calls his laboratory the birthing center,
Well, it's true.
the delivery station. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, they have the fight, and Jacob's like, "Whoa, yeah, let's have this fight. Let's fight, dude." Like Jacob's like favorite thing
Finish
about this
him.
episode. Yeah, what if they did like
Fatality.
a Dukin, or like they did a fatality and he like ripped his head off or something like that? Would that make you happy, Jacob?
I mean, I was happy with the way it was, but of course, you add in some fatalities. I'm good with it.
Woohoo.
What about friendship? Is it friendshipality or babality?
Friendship, babalities, two different things. You
Well,
turn
it
him
could be
into a
either one.
baby.
Yeah, I mean, he was technically a baby. He's only like 7 days old, so he's technically a young baby.
Yeah, he did a
in terms
babality.
of- Yeah, exactly. See, the problem is he didn't raise him. He just let him go free after he got stabbed.
Yep.
I don't know. But yeah, they fight and they fight and they fight and they continue fighting. And then it fades to black as they're fighting, because we don't know what happens. And we see what's her face up in her room, knocking on the door. We see Alan. He's in a suit. He's like, "Oh, we should talk about what happened like 2 days ago or yesterday." He's like, "Nah, we'll forget all about that, because it's the Twilight Zone. Nothing. We don't have to worry about that." And then we get to the end, and we find out that Alan was the one who was killed, and it's actually, Walter, who grew some balls and became a man.
Yep.
And he fucked her night and day for a week.
As long as they had fun.
He ball busted her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was that's the end of the episode.
I
What do you
liked
guys think
it.
about the ending?
I don't have any issues with it. I think that he learned from his mistakes and he was able to be, like Jake said, he became a better man by trying to create the perfect man.
Yeah.
He's a better man. You guys have I mean, you guys have anything else you want to talk about with the episode, or
I feel like there's going to be at least a few questions there in the beginning. I would like to have, obviously not really, but I think it would be interesting to see the first few days of that relationship. Some things get referenced that he doesn't have memory of, and she does, and it's like
I kind of got the sense that she understood that it wasn't the man that, like, it was a variation on the person that she knew.
I don't know. I think he just came in and was like, "Look, don't ask me. Just it's not going to happen again. Don't worry. It's all worked out." And she's like, "You're going to tell me one day, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, one day." So I'm wondering if what he plans on doing is one day being like, "Okay, so that wasn't me, but it was." Is he going to like tell her the whole truth eventually? Because then like she might be like, "Oh my God, you're not the man I knew for 4 days, even though we've lived together 10 years now." But like, would it be kind of like I mean, it was me because I created him in my image. So it was me, but it physically wasn't me, but me.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm
She's going to
looking
go cross-eyed because of
into
it.
He needs to be like, I had a mental break, tough day at the office.
I lost
he
some
was
memories.
he was doing it wrong, because instead of like creating the perfect human, he should have just created the perfect penis, and like everything was just fine.
No, that's not how that works.
Am I wrong, Jacob? Did he just do it wrong? See, I see. Even Jacob wasn't paying attention. I said the perfect penis. That's what he should have been doing instead of creating the perfect human.
Oh, he clearly did create the perfect penis on this perfect human because 4 days ago they met and now she's like, "Yes, I marry you."
Okay.
You think they were
point
at a
taken.
bar? They were making out, and she pulled down his pants. He's like, "Oh my god!" And they went to town.
Gyrated.
Turns out he's smooth like Ken.
Had like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
dolphin thing and
Okay.
holy shit, it's amazing. Look at what this thing does. I don't know why it has all these extra parts, but I don't
It's like
care either.
It's like a Swiss Army knife of just dildos.
It's like space truckers. He's like, oh my god,
dude. It's alive and it's moving.
it's about to be. Hang on.
No, but what else do you guys want to talk about with this episode? Like, there's a lot that was never brought up, which is very rare for a Twilight Zone episode. So,
Well, I do agree with you. I will not concede, but I will give and slightly agree that yes, this could have been done in 24 minutes.
Well, I think
But-
that's any, but don't you think that so you take any good movie, at its heart, you could take that and kind of whittle it down to like its bare story.
Well, yeah,
Most
but that's the
things.
point I'm getting to is I think that the basic story, man and woman, weirdness, hey, this isn't the place that I remember from last week, finds out he's actually a robot copy of a guy, and then big fight, real guy takes over. That could be done in 24 minutes. That could be done in 24 minutes. And it could be kind of like, oh, that was neat. Yeah, that was a good episode. We'd be like, oh yeah, we'll put it at like number 50 or something, or 60 or whatever. You know, a
Number 32.
mid-level yes, definitely. A mid-level interesting episode that's like, oh yeah, that was cool. Maybe not the most memorable, maybe not quintessential Twilight Zone, but good enough. And I had an entertaining time. But I think that, and once again, next week we watch another hour one or 50-minute, and I might be like, that was terrible. That was just padding.
I'll be like, that was the greatest thing ever.
I don't want to use the term padded out, but all the other stuff that's there, could you cut it out? Sure. And the basic story would still be there. But I think that it would be a different feeling because that other way would be all about the story. You really wouldn't care about these characters. They were vessels to tell you this interesting story and twist. The story was precedent. This one, the story is important, of course, but the characters become a lot more important as to how you look at, or how I looked at it, and how it made me feel and how impactful it was to me. I think the impact would have been more on the story itself and the twist of, oh, he's a robot. That whole thing, if it was 24 minutes, he took over, as opposed to, oh, now it's still, oh, he's a robot, but it's, oh shit, man, I thought he was a person, because they had all this character development that made him seem like a real person, and you actually care about these characters. You don't want this guy to be a murderer because you've learned to like him, but he has already murdered someone, and you're wondering, why did he murder him? Why is he having these impulses? There's a lot more things that come up. So it's the same story, but I think that they did a really good job of using that extra 20 minutes, 25 minutes to good effect. I think that they took the same story and made it meaningful in a different way. It's not just about the story, it's the characters as well. Once again, the other 17 episodes this season might not do that, but this first one, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I also do have to admit, and I cannot say if this would be different or not, I went into this with extremely low expectations. I was bracing for the impact. I hit play and I was like, because I had been like, to hear everybody talk about it, this was going to be the most dog shit turnaround of any show ever. Like, went from like great to just god awful. So as I'm watching, I'm like, this isn't that bad. It starts out a little weird, but you understand why that is at the end. So I was pleasantly surprised. And I already admitted or explained the whole thing about how it made me feel kind of like the first season. I really like that. I was happy to see that again. It's been a while. And I can only hope that the next one did have an interesting, that they showed us the preview for, had an interesting hook for the preview. We were making fun of the preview, I know, because it is kind of like, it doesn't, it's
True.
like, 95% of the preview is just like, what is this? And then like the
Yeah.
last like 5 seconds of the preview actually has the hook. And that was an interesting hook. I don't know if the show's the actual episode's gonna present it as well.
Yeah.
And but that was an interesting hook of, hey, this has been down there for a long time, then who's making that fucking noise? So those types of hooks I like. I'm interested in. I'm hoping it does that.
Yeah. It does feel like for all of the extra pressure that was put on them, there does feel like there's a renewed, at least with this episode, or a new sense of, I don't know, vigor isn't the right word, but like they kind of readjusted their positioning to be able to do the best that they could to go forward.
Yeah. And I think they did a really good job here. Like I didn't just like, this one was okay. I thought it was a really good episode.
Oh,
Well,
real quick. Did
Yeah.
we do the opening narration?
No.
No, we did not. Or the
We
closing
didn't.
narration. So yeah,
Or
Jacob, let's go ahead and do both of them, I guess.
What you've just witnessed could be the end of a particularly terrifying nightmare. It isn't. It's the beginning. Although Alan Talbot, never mind. I was wondering if Talbot was a like acronym for robot. Robot? It's not. Anyway, although Alan Talbot doesn't know it, he's about to enter a strange new world, too. Too incredible to be real. Too real to be a dream. It's called the Twilight Zone.
Ooh.
And so I gotta ask you guys, he wasn't on set. He was like in the like with a backdrop, like a
That he was like
That's
limbo.
classic. Yeah. I remember that. That's kind of when it showed that. I was like, that was before I started this podcast. That was how I envisioned these things. Kind of like with the, Sears portrait studio background and like the lighting and him just sitting there not being a part of the actual scene. That's how I remember Rod Serling talking in these for some reason. So it goes back to kind of like the music you were talking about earlier. I guess it is like the later episodes. I don't necessarily remember the later episodes as much, but I remember like some of those little intricacies about the show, like the music and because I agree with you. The opening here that's when I saw that I was like, oh, they did it. There's the opening and like how he is positioned, like kind of apart from everything.
Yep.
That's how I remember Twilight Zone.
Yeah, well, they had like the doll and the eyeball and the crashing window and stuff like that. But closing narration.
In a way, it can be said that Walter Ryder succeeded in his life ambition, even though the man he created was, after all, himself. There may be easier ways to self-improvement, but sometimes it happens that the shortest distance between 2 points is a crooked line through the Twilight Zone.
And did you notice there's no stars at the end of his diet? You know how like he'll pan up in the stars?
Yeah.
As he's talking, it doesn't do that here.
I did not know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then it goes straight into Rod Serling just talking about the next episode. I'm like, what is this? What am I watching? This is so weird. And
season 4, baby.
Yeah, season 4, first episode. 50
As
minutes of my life.
My first impression of season 4 is not too bad. I mean,
I can tell. Just wait till we get to
into it, and I enjoyed it.
I'll be honest with you. The next episode, which we'll talk about, I actually quite enjoy. So I remember that episode very well. It didn't need to be an hour long, but you kind of get where it's going when it ends. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah,
I did like the hook in the preview. I didn't like the preview.
I like how I was like, I liked everything but the preview.
It was it's like 90.
I like the shit that was at the bottom.
Preview was just like random pictures that didn't connect, and then they have that dialogue in the end. I'm like, oh, okay.
But they also were doing some in water stuff, like doing the scuba tank and such.
Yeah.
He's
like, here's
that's not something. That's not something
the
that they've done
submarine
before.
sitting there like that at the
yeah,
like it nosedived.
Yeah, he's like, here's a man. Here's
so they're at least using that budget,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they just took footage from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Probably. Well, that was the thing too. A lot of the equipment that you saw in the birthing suite or the birthing room was from Forbidden Planet. Like a lot of other stuff.
Planet, they got their mileage out of that shit in this show.
Oh, they totally did.
A lot of stuff from Forbidden Planet on this show.
Yes, absolutely did.
Whatever the budget of that movie was, they made it up.
Yes, they've come a long way since almost dying of drinking milk. I'm telling you what.
Yeah,
chocolate milk in the desert.
Dead desert or what desert was it?
Yeah,
Death
lonely.
Desert, Death Valley,
Yeah,
It
Death
was
Valley,
Death Valley.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Dead Desert. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
That's all deserts, really.
Right.
Oh, do you
So,
guys want to know where this fell with Paste and IMDb?
Sure, why don't you tell us?
It fell at 86 for both lists.
Also kind of like
Interesting.
in the middle.
Yeah, very. It's smack dab.
This is pretty
I can
good
see
for a
that.
4-season episode. So, but yeah, that's episode 1 of season 4, which is what episode we were talking about, In His Image. So, okay. So
Yeah, I
with
was
that
lied
said,
to.
oh well, I mean, just give us some time. We'll come
This is
to.
gonna be like the best season of the whole show. I was like, you fuckers, you told me this was the worst.
I didn't say anything about that. That was
That was all
only the
Triv.
guy.
Triv told me to tell you
God's
that.
sake. Oh, 100%.
It's
Obviously.
gonna be banger after banger. It's gonna be like
You're gonna be
There
no,
are
I
a
mean,
couple of
there-
shitbag
You're
episodes.
gonna be
dorm
banging
room
your
after
head
a kegger.
sometimes.
Yeah.
You're gonna have you're gonna be hungover from the kegger of the Jezebel.
Oof.
Okay, so with that said, let's go into the Twilight Zone ranking list, the last portion of our podcast that deals with the thing that we love most in life and YouTube, and that is rankings. Okay, where do we want to put this?
I like when you guys start.
Maybe I don't
this
wanna
is the only
start
time that
this.
Jacob doesn't like to start. He likes people to start for him.
I finish.
Fine, I'll grind out. Let's see here.
Is this better than Third from the Sun and The Chaser?
Where are those at?
Yes.
63 and 62. Is this better than Mirror Image?
Was Mirror Image the one with Fidel Castro? Or the Fidel Castro
Mirror
guy?
Image was
No, that was-
the lady in the bus stop.
I think so. I didn't. You guys like that one more than I did. I didn't hate it. I thought that one had a lot of technical achievements in it, but the story itself was.
Yeah.
Is this better than the Burt Lancaster 2 episode?
Burt Lancaster.
Yeah,
You
wasn't
mean
he
Charles
one-
Bronson?
Charles Bronson.
Oh yeah, Charles Bronson.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Is this
Looking
better
at
than
what
last
else is
season's-
around there, like a nice place to visit in a world of difference, I wouldn't put this above those two.
What number is that?
45 and 44.
Above The Mind and the Matter, Odyssey of Flight 33, Mirror
32.
Image, What You Need, The Prime Mover, The Fugitive, Back There, There's So Much Bloom, Where Babies Burp and Flowers Bloom, The Whole Truth and Nothing But the Truth, A Passage for Penis Trumpet,
Uh,
A Passage for Titty Bitties.
I think this is better than Long Distance Call.
Wasn't a world of difference though the end of season 4 or end of season 1? What was
World
that?
Difference was
was a world
the
of its
mean,
own.
the mean woman, the mean wife.
Oh, right. Where the actor and the guy who played the actor and the character he played. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, nice place to visit when he finds himself in hell. He's a
Right.
a gangster. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like this better.
I
than
could
those.
I could see this better than Long Distance Call, yeah.
I did not like. Long Distance.
Better than
I didn't
Quality
either.
of
That-
Mercy.
I can't say that it's better than A Quality of Mercy.
Better than Showdown.
Which one was Quality of Mercy?
Showdown.
We just
That
watched
was where the American soldier takes on the
Racist Asian guy
yeah, he becomes a
in
Racist
World War II.
Oh, with Dean Stockwell
yeah.
and
Showdown with Rance McGrew.
I liked it more than Showdown with Rance McGrew. I know
I
you
could
guys
yeah, I
liked
think
that.
I think I liked it better than Showdown.
This is better than like A Penny for Your Thoughts, Person or Persons Unknown.
I wouldn't go I wouldn't go
It's better than
higher
a penny
The
for my
Hunt.
thoughts. I don't know about a penny for my thoughts.
The
I'm
Cunt.
sorry, I couldn't help it.
I put this above Kick the Can.
Where's Kick the Can?
I would
39.
too.
39?
But Quality of Mercy, I thought was pretty good. But I would say this is better than Kick the Can.
I would not put this
like
above
that.
The Hunt or Most Unusual Camera. I draw my line there.
Hard line.
She
Hard-
drew her
hard-
line
hard
in the
sci-fi.
sand.
Damn, man. Just like 5 more, Trev. 5 more.
You're gonna have to convince me. You're gonna have to push it real good.
Oh,
Push it real good. Push it. Push it.
I got
it.
seven proofs that I can do that.
No, I'm not doubting that. I'm just
Push it real good. Dun, 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 dun.
Like I say,
fine
Dun,
with
dun, dun.
I'm fine with that. I never thought we'd be sitting here talking about the first episode of season 4 the way I heard about it, being all the way down here in the 30s, so or 40s, high 40s, low 30s, low 30s, yeah. Where we're talking about it
Yeah.
going.
So right above Kick the Can, right below the Hunt.
That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, so 39.
I got to type around my cat since he decided that he owns my computer desk.
Well, yeah, duh.
All right, yeah. Any other voicing of opinions of this rankings?
Nope.
I like it. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Are you now?
I'm hoping
Are
it
you?
brings that. I mean, the hook is good, man. I ain't gonna lie. That's an interesting hook. I like that. Ooh, who is it?
And something quite different than what we've seen from Twilight Zone up to this point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like,
it is similar to another episode, I think, but like I said, it's not entirely the same as that other episode, which I don't want to give anything away for anybody who hasn't watched a 6-year-old TV show or anything like that, but
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
spoiler for 60-year-old show. But yeah, that'll work. We'll put it in his image there for now. So new number 39 in his image. Number 103. God, I still can't believe we're on the 100 episodes already. Episode 103 is The Trouble with Templeton. Number 1 is still Eye of the Beholder. Next week.
Hang on.
And
Yeah, exactly. Where the hell is it?
I don't know.
83.
I don't get it.
83.
No, 84
Number
now.
number
84.
oh yeah, 80 number 84 now. A piano in
The house.
yeah.
Yes, a pianist in the house. Pianist.
Yes.
What did the pianist say when he walked into the bar?
Oh, good lord. There we go.
Anyway, so there you go. There's your weekly in the house. With that said, next week's episode is going to be season 4, episode 2, which is the 30 Fathom Grave, which, like I said, I really enjoyed. It's not the best Twilight Zone episode I've ever seen, but for a 4th season, it's actually quite good. It, of course, is directed by, once again, I thought it was Peter, but Perry Lafferty, written by Rod Serling, stars Mike Kellen, Simon Oakland, David Shiner, and, of course, Bill Bixby. So we'll look forward to that. This 4th season is off to an interesting start. I am not prepared for how this episode will go, or the season will go. Apparently, it will be a lot better than I thought it would be, but that's my cynicism working into effect. So we'll see how it plays out.
We love your cynicism. It's adorable.
You lie, don't lie.
Actually, I'm standing right now, so.
I mean, I guess you're standing. I mean, you have a chair. Wait, are you standing or do you have a chair? I'm confused, Triv. Your 2D plane of existence doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I would
Jacob's
hope it
gonna
doesn't
fall
make
over in
sense.
his chair.
Yay!
He's
Assume the position.
assume the position. Anyways, with that said, Triv, you have content still, I believe.
Do I?
Where's that located? Yeah.
Oh, well, when I'm not being a weird 2D phenomenon to Nick, phenomenon, da, 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 da. Anyway, you can find me here on YouTube. I do a wide variety of random, obscure, and straight up bad movies. By the time this drops, I will have put out an interesting little video on a 15-minute SOV called The Attack of the Killer
SOB?
Refrigerator. It's and you should also check out my blood-sucking blood-sucking pharaohs of Pittsburgh, which is also out right now. Both are fun and good and well worth your time.
Excellent. Jacob, I know you have content coming. I know it'll come when it feels like coming in your face.
I have an update.
Yay!
Oh God.
It's not much. Don't get your hopes up.
It's like I have an exciting update. Maybe.
No, but like I say every week, I'm like, oh, I'm working on it. Not really. Like working on it usually means I started something, but I have actively been working on my next big video, and I've gone a little bit further where I have planned out 2 smaller videos. I really want to do the big video and then the 2 smaller ones, but I may, if this big one takes a bit longer, go ahead and shoot one of the other ones. But my big video, I have actively been working on it every single day. I plan and hope to record voiceover, be done with the scripting phase and do voiceover by the end of the week, most likely the beginning of next week. And after I do that, I'll start compiling graphics and stuff. And then I'll shoot the stuff, hopefully maybe end of next week. So I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks, that big video will be out. And depending on how it goes, we'll see how often my fine viewers get more content from me. So yeah,
Excellent.
I've actually actively been working on it every single day. I've told myself in the morning, I have like a few hours in the morning every day that I'm free. So I've been coming downstairs and working on my video every morning, writing
Woohoo!
the script, which is sometimes fun, sometimes not.
Hooray!
You know, Jacob's
Tedious.
videos are like when a brand new kind of restaurant is coming to town and you keep watching as you drive by, and it's like it's so exciting that it's gonna happen. It's so, but it takes like it feels like it's gonna be forever. It's that it gets more and more special. That's Jacob's videos. The more and more you wait, the more and more special it becomes. The
The
more
topic
you
of
want
this
it.
video is a little bit more, it's not as old as the topics of the previous videos I've done. So there's not like as much, there's history there, but there's not as much documented. There's a lot of stuff documented, but the interesting stuff, it's not as well known. There's a fair amount, but there's a lot of still like bullshit out there. So I try and weed through that because I try not to include just outright bullshit. So this one's proved to be a little bit more tedious in research, the research phase.
Yeah. So there you go. Research, people.
It's so fun.
And
Love it.
exactly. And as for me, I've made a decision. I'm not closing down my channel. I'm probably gonna do some stuff, but it's gonna be different. I'm not doing full length like new movie reviews anymore because they just don't do it for me anymore. So you might see a lot of like old school stuff, like kind of like what Jacob, what you were doing with your old school video games and stuff like that. Not like long form, but more like old school movie reviews, and we'll see how it plays out. Maybe I won't do anything. I don't know. I'm not
It's your
worried about it.
channel. You do with it what you like.
That's what she
Yeah.
said. You
Yeah.
play with it however you want to play with it. You
Could
dangle
take
it
a
around.
break, man. Cause you like it takes a while to recoup from doing that shit like every day or every other, having that schedule where you're doing it all the time. It takes a long time to recoup from that and just do it when you want.
Yes. Like when we record this episode on Monday, I probably won't have it done till Sunday. It's kind of weird.
That's okay.
I'm
Well, you'll
used to
be
having
like
stuff
feeling
done.
like there's something I'm supposed to be doing. I should release content. I should be doing that. You'll have that stress for a little while, but then it's when it goes away, man. It's kind of nice.
Now I can watch more porn. Now I can sit down and watch porn more.
Exactly.
See?
See, the silver linings to everything, dude.
Exactly. I got my silver lining
More
porn book.
You could review porn.
I
There you
could.
go.
There's a thing for that on YouTube. So,
Is there?
anyways, Triv, I know you're tired. You've been up since 1:00. I'm tired. Everybody's tired. We're all tired. Let's get the hell out of here. So we'll look forward to next week's episode. But for further ado, we'll get me out in the Twilight Zone. So for myself, Triv, and Jacob, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, motherfucker.
And we
On a
don't do it
porpoise.
on dolphin. Yeah, we do it on a dolphin or on a porpoise.
I do it on
The dolphin
porpoises
will
all
do
the
it on
time.
you.
Oh no.
They will.
In Russian, you don't do it on dolphin. Dolphin does on you.
Exactly.
I want to see that as a slogan for a movie.